What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Paul Talks Patriots. Well, draft week is over, and the Patriots are a lot better off because of it. Hit on a lot of positions we needed to improve on, and I can't complain too much. We definitely helped out our team. Overall, I would give our draft class a B plus grade. Hit on a lot of positions of need and really improved. It's looking promising. I'm not saying we're going to be in the playoffs next year, but it is looking promising. A lot of potential for future cornerstone players for our team. Obviously, number 3 overall, we took Drake May, quarterback out of UNC. Now, I'm not going to waste my time talking about him. I've already done it several times, but I will just go over my thoughts on the pick. He's got your prototypical build, your desired arm strength from a quarterback, and a lot of potential. He's not ready to play right now. Some people think he's the most NFL-ready quarterback out of the class. I wholeheartedly disagree. This kid needs to sit at least a little bit, and if he can fix all of his technical problems and reading defenses, then yeah, maybe we see him this year. I think the safest route for our future is to sit him the whole year, maybe at least half a year, and get him acclimated to our offense, to the NFL, and we'll be set up for success for the future. Again, if you want to go back, I have previous videos. I'll link one at the end, and I go over Drake May. Second round, well, we picked Jalen Polk, wide receiver out of Washington. Now, I had watched film on this kid before, and he is really talented. Did I think he should have gone this early? No, this is one of the first reasons why I gave us a B-plus grade. I think Polk, even though we traded back 5 spots, moved from the 5th round to the 4th round because of it with a later pick, Polk would have been sitting there. We could have traded back again probably. With that being said, I do really like the player. Is he ever going to be your true number 1 wide receiver? I don't think so. I think he plays very similarly to Kendrick Bourne. So you got a very solid wide receiver too in the future. And he's going to contribute right away. There's no doubt about that. His ceiling is not the highest. He's 6'1", maybe 6.5 an inch, and a little over 200 pounds. He is physical though. He loves to run block, and he's not afraid to get hit. He will jump up and go get the ball, which I love. He's got a 37.5 inch vertical. He's just a guy that you can get behind, that you want to see succeed. And it same goes with Drake May, and same goes with a lot of the other guys that we picked in this draft. I'll say it now. Elliott Wolf drafted a lot of players that are going to create a culture for us, a winning culture in New England, which is going to not be said a lot, I don't think, but is a super important part of these draftees that we picked. Back to Jalen Polk. Obviously, he wasn't in the top tier of receivers this year. One of the reasons is because of his route running. His route running is good, but he does round off some of his routes. You know, it's got the crisp of like a KFC, not fried chicken from Kentucky type of crisp, though. He's not going to kill you with his speed either. He ran a 4.5 40-yard dash at the combine, but he knows how to beat coverage. He knows how to get open off the line of scrimmage. He did run a 1.52 10-yard split, which is good enough for 80th percentile. On top of that, I think he's a really smart player. He's got good feel on how to beat zone coverages, along with when you're lined up in man, he's going to outwork you too. But it is something that he can still work on. I think more specifically the zone coverages than man. He's also got some versatility in where he can line up. I think he, at the end of the day, is going to be a Z receiver, your split out off the ball receiver. But he can play X due to his physicality and quick acceleration. He can get off the line of scrimmage quickly. If he's against a bigger cornerback, though, I don't know how well he can use that physicality to his advantage. I think he's going to be a great Z receiver, though. And you can see him line up at X on a lot of run plays, I think, because he loves to run block. Great part of his game. Kendrick Bourne is going to be the perfect mentor for the kid, and I'm really excited to see how he turns out. We'll see him play a lot this year. Going into the third round, we got a tackle, not a left tackle like I wanted to see, and I think what a lot of people wanted to see, a big need of ours. But we got a kid who can possibly convert to left tackle from right tackle. That is Caden Wallace out of Penn State. Guy's got a lot of experience. He's got 40 starts over 4 years. He missed 5 games for injury purposes in 2022. Other than that, he's been clean. So the biggest thing for him is he's 6'5", 315 pounds, and he's really a really great athlete for his size. I would like to see him gain a couple more pounds. 315 is a little light for offensive tackle, but the 6'5" frame is great, and he moves really well. He's got mobile hips, which goes a long way into playing left tackle versus right tackle. You need it for both, obviously, but it's like essential almost for left tackle. He moves quick. His first step is good, but his second and third steps in his pass set are even better. So you're never going to beat him outside. He is so athletic and quick that you can't just speed rush him and get there. Why wasn't he a higher pick? Well, because of other moves. When you put a second move on him or try and bull rush him, he's not the best at dropping anchor. That's why I think he needs to gain some weight. On top of that, he leans forward when he's pass blocking. Instead of like keeping your back, instead of staying back, he lunges forward, and it causes errors. And a lot of people will beat him because of that. So that's something that you can definitely fix. So and then as far as the run game goes, he's like fair. He fares well in the run game. He's never gonna pancake a guy, but he's never gonna let them go right through him. A thing that could help him with this, and even in the passing game a little bit, is his footwork. It's very inconsistent. I found on film a lot of times he was just like stepping, kind of like slowly stepping instead of chopping his feet. You need to keep your feet moving as fast as you can. He was not doing that too often. And even there was a couple plays where I saw both of his feet in the air, like he was like galloping kind of, which is a bad habit for linemen, but something that it takes some time, but you can fix. As far as his hand placement goes, it can be really good or poor. He has late hands, which is like the last thing you want as a lineman. If the defensive end gets his hands on you first, then you're kind of screwed. He did let that happen a decent amount, but once he gets his hands on you, they're engaged. They're not latching off. So you're not gonna get too far. He's not gonna get away from you once he latches his hands on, which is great. Wolf, like I said, Elliot Wolf wants to see Caden Wallace switch to the left side. I think he can do it. That's not something you do overnight. It takes some time. I think ideally we keep him at right tackle, move Onwenu into right guard, and have Okorafor start at left tackle because he's a veteran. He's played it a little bit before, but Wallace has never played left tackle. So maybe he can switch over by the start of the season. Who knows? But This kid is phenomenal at right tackle. He's got a lot of potential, can develop into a top 10 right tackle in the league, I would say. But if he does make the move over to left tackle, I think he can succeed there too. Definitely got the athletic ability. And a couple of things he needs to work on, but it's all there. It's all possible. And on top of it, just like Polk, he seems like a great kid. And he can be a good foundational piece for our franchise. He's just got those intangibles that you can't teach, that you just have to look for in a kid. He's got them. So a good pick. Actually, now that I remember, I did want to mention another reason I gave us a B plus rank was because Kingsley Suamataia, who I've been talking about for so long now, was just a couple picks ahead. He got picked by the Chiefs, I believe it was, just like 4 or 5 picks earlier. I would have loved to see the Patriots trade up to draft him because he played left tackle for the whole year and right tackle his junior year of college. So that's I like our pick in Caden Wallace, that's for sure. But Suamataia looks like a more proven thing, and he fell all the way to just before. I would have liked to see them trade up a little bit to get him. But Caden Wallace, as I just said, has a lot of potential at the tackle position. Moving to the 4th round, we got Layden Robinson, a right guard out of Texas A&M. Now, I've never heard of Robinson before, but I did watch his film, and he's pretty good. He's been the starting right guard for A&M for the past 3 seasons. That's 33 games. He got second team All-SEC honors this past year, and he's a little on the lighter side, just like Wallace, but so he needs to put on weight, but he moves really well. He's 6'4", 302, and I rarely saw him like absolutely run over a guy, but he packs a heavy punch. Like, there was multiple times in past sets where he wouldn't have anyone rushing directly at him, so he would just like help out the guy next to him and would shove them to the floor, which is really impressive. As far as man-on-man blocking, he doesn't get a crazy push off the line of scrimmage, but he doesn't get beat too often either. It seems like he has a very high IQ level, but it's just his execution isn't always perfect. He seems to know what always should be done, but sometimes his feet look like they're stuck in mud. Sometimes they chop fast like they should. Sometimes he's off balance in his blocking, and sometimes he plays with a sturdy base. It's just really, he's a project. He needs to put it all together. He showed flashes of everything you want to see from a guard. But I don't think he'll be starting for us. He shows the athletic ability to be able to play in our outside zone offensive scheme for running. But he needs to work. His game needs to be refined. He moves really well laterally, which is the most important thing in outside zone because you're moving together, left or right. Rarely are you going straight up to the next level to find someone to block. He looked really uncomfortable when he tried to do that, but at the end of the day, he can be a high-end backup player or a serviceable starter is his ceiling, I would say. Not a guy you love to see out there, but not a guy that you're going to be screaming at the TV over watching him play. Next, we moved up from the 5th round to the 4th round because we moved back in the draft and we drafted Jalen Polk. And with us moving up into the 4th round from the 5th round, we were able to draft Javon Baker, wide receiver out of UCF. Now, if you didn't hear it, I just got to repeat some of the quotes he said. This one's going to go down in history. It's so iconic already. Bring your popcorn. I make people in wheelchairs stand up. That's bold. That is bold, but I love it. His film definitely backed it up, though. This guy is going to be a stud, I think. And you should all be excited to watch him play. and hear about how he performs in training camp. Another one that I love that stood out to me, Baker was asked about himself, May, and Polk all going together to Boston or to New England. He said, "We're going to bring back the winning mentality that everyone likes in Boston." So he knows what we're all about, and you guys need to all know what he's about because this guy is phenomenal at times, and I don't know how he dropped all the way to the fourth round, but I'm so happy he did. He's about the same build as Jalen Polk, 6'1", 200. Maybe he might be a little bit taller than Polk, but just about the same build. Just to give you a quick view of what this kid is like, he had 52 receptions for 1,139 yards. That's just a tick under 22 yards per catch. So he's a deep ball threat. Actually, it's crazy. He's also, on top of this, super physical, a great run blocker. He loves to block more than Jalen Polk, I would say. There was one play that stuck out to me last year against Oklahoma State where UCF handed the ball off and the running back is breaking away, long touchdown, and he's getting gassed. And the cornerback is catching up to him. And out of nowhere, from off the screen, Javon Baker books it to the cornerback and kind of like blocks him off, like runs in front of him, throws the hand up. So that ended up turning into a touchdown because Baker made that block. That's just the type of player he is. He gives full effort 100% of the time, and he's going to be really fun to watch. I think he has the ability to be a great X receiver because he's, like I said, he's physical. He's not going to get jammed at the line of scrimmage, and on top of that, he's a really good route runner. Now, you look, he only ran a 4.5 40, just like Jalen Polk, but he is a great route runner. So if he's at the X position on the line of scrimmage, he's either gonna get the defensive end D-back's hands off of him and use his route running abilities to break away and create space. I think he can be really good at creating separation and getting open. On top of that, in the run game, back to his route running ability, he runs routes on run plays like he would on pass plays, which is rare for an NFL receiver to do. Not too many of them like to do that. Usually they'll just take the play off. But there was one play where I was watching Baker run the route, and he got wide open across the middle, and I got really mad that the quarterback didn't throw the ball to him. And then I looked back, and the running back had the ball in his hands up the middle, and I had no idea because Baker ran such a great route on a run play. It seemed like it was a pass play. He's also, when I said the stats, just about 22 yards per reception. He's a 50-50 jump ball receiver, but it's more like 60-40. This guy catches just about everything, and he's also not the tallest, but he's got a high vertical jump, and he's going to go up and get the ball. You toss it up, he's got a good chance to grab it. After that, he's got plenty of ability for run after the catch. He'll fight for those extra yards. He's not going to go down easily, and his footwork is also great, so he can make you miss in a multitude of ways. It's really impressive. His hands are like so weird. He'll make highlight catches, but he'll also drop balls when he's wide open, and it's like in his chest. So it's weird, but I don't see it being too big of a problem. I'm not just going to shove that under the rug that he has trouble catching the ball. Obviously, that's the receiver's job, but I think it was just like getting the yips sometimes for him, and he can get rid of that. He'll be fine. At the end of the day, I think this kid's an absolute steal. Possibly the steal of the draft. In the 6th round, we drafted Marcellus Dial out of South Carolina. He's our biggest project player, I would say. He's 6 foot 190. He's a outside boundary cornerback to me. I don't see him playing in the slot corner position. He's got a lot of work to do. His feet are stagnant when he's in press coverage. After the snap, it's like he waits for the receiver to make 2 steps before he even moves. You want to keep your feet moving. Like they're just stuck there. The receiver can blow right by you. On top of that, his hips aren't very mobile, so he has trouble shifting, facing inwards or outwards. And when the receiver does do an outside release, Dial, he shades them really well. When they move inside, when the receiver makes a move inside, and like short routes across the middle, Dial, I've seen him let receivers open like immediately. So that's concerning. On top of that, he's very handsy in coverage, which you like to see battling. You like to see hand battling, but it could be leading to a lot of penalties in the NFL, which is scary. He's got to learn when to do it, when to not, what's over the top, what's acceptable, which you can figure out. I'm actually really looking forward to Dial versus Baker in training camp. I think that's going to be a great matchup. If anything, if Dial is going to be useful to our roster, that's probably what's going to make him most useful, is going against Javon Baker in training camp. And at the end of the day, I don't know if Dial's got enough to make the roster, especially when we have cornerbacks that have been on the team already for so long that we've seen play in games and can't contribute. I don't know if Dial has the potential to make the roster, but you never know how he'll react to coaching, how much he can improve. So we'll see. The next pick in the 6th round was the pick we got for Mac Jones, and we used it to draft another quarterback, ironically. This is Joe Milton out of Tennessee. This guy is an athletic freak. It's crazy. There was talks about converting him to a receiver, but he has shown signs of good quarterback play, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But he is 6'5", 235 pounds, and measured in the 80th percentile in every category of the combine for quarterbacks. So that includes height, weight, hand size, arm length, wingspan, 40-yard dash time, vertical and broad jump. He recorded in the 80th percentile or better in all of those, all 8 stats. On top of it, I think he's got the best arm in the draft. It's a bazooka. You can have a cannon of an arm, and then you can have Joe Milton's arm. It's crazy. He tosses the ball 75 yards downfield if needed, with relative ease, too. It's crazy. As far as his fundamentals go, his technique, he's got really good pocket presence. I think he likes to stay in the pocket, doesn't get scared when it's collapsing on him. And he's got good footwork. He sets his feet, he stays balanced, and slings the ball. Now, that can be his downside too, slinging the ball. He does have some accuracy concerns. Like I said, he's got the strongest arm in the draft probably. But he uses it all the time. He never has a touch pass. Like downfield, there's a lot of plays where you're better off using loft on a pass, and he doesn't like to do that. He likes to just sling the ball in there. And it leads to, instead of having long receptions and giving your wide receiver a chance to run after the catch, it'll either be incompletions or it'll lead to jump balls where you don't really give your receiver to do much after the catch. And then some of his throws are just completely off target. Similar problem with Drake May, actually. But it's just like, where the hell were you throwing that ball? You don't know. His stats are a little worse than what the film will show you, though. There were plenty of plays I saw where the receivers just dropped footballs that they should have easily grabbed. So if you look at his stats, it's not going to tell you the whole story, but it tells you a good amount about it. On top of that, I think he does need some improvement anticipating where his receivers are going to be and when, and reading defenses to know what receivers give you the best chance of completing a pass. So that'll be interesting to see if he can learn how to progress through his targets, option 1, option 2, option 3, and how well he does reading defenses. That's the biggest reason I think the Patriots want to convert him to a different position, but we will see. In the last round, our last pick of the draft was Jaheim Bell, tight end out of Florida State University. I was surprised this guy dropped to the 7th round. He was projected to go anywhere from the 4th all the way to the end of the draft. The 4th round to the 7th round. I figured he was already picked, so I was surprised when we saw that we picked him. Now, this guy is like a brick house. He's 6'2", 240 pounds, so he's definitely undersized for a tight end, but he's very versatile. He lined up in the backfield on plenty of plays and at different receiver positions, whether it was in the slot, outside, wherever. He's got, I don't want you to, it's a weird comparison, and they're different players and have different play styles, but he reminds me of Deebo Samuel just because of how versatile he can line up on the field. He can take a handoff, a little pop pass, or run a screen, run a short route. Very similar to Deebo. At the end of the day, Deebo is a lot more athletically gifted than Jaheim Bell, and obviously Deebo, Pro Bowl caliber player. I don't think Jaheim Bell will ever be that, but he's very versatile, a Swiss Army knife type of player. He either will run a seam route down the field. He's got 4.6 speed, 4.6 40-yard dash he ran. So he's either running a seam or he's running quick ins, slants, little out routes or flat routes. He runs screen passes, and he's really good with that. He's good after the catch too, because like I said, he's built like a brick house. He'll run through someone, and he's got good athleticism. He's got a high vertical jump, but he's got the stiffest hips I've ever seen out of a receiver. So he's not shifty at all. He's gonna run right through you. He might even jump over you, and he can beat you with his wheels too. But he's never gonna be shifty and elusive and make you miss that way. Again, that causes limited limited route running ability because of his hips. And he's going to be fun. I think he's going to make our roster, and he's going to be a gadget player who can contribute to the offense in a multitude of ways, and he'll probably contribute on special teams just as a rookie. Overall, our draft went really well this year, and I'm excited to see all these guys get a chance to play come training camp and watch them in the preseason. It's looking very optimistic, guys. We got a lot of potential here. Elliott Wolf did a great job. I want to see him get the full-time position as our general manager. We will see how that ends up. But as far as the draft goes, it went great, and it's going to be fun to see what happens next. Until next time, I will catch you all. Peace out.